What's going on? This is a Sunday video, just an update video. First of all, I want to apologize for the quality of all of this that's going on over in this whole section of the video. I'm using my old webcam, which is supposed to be HD, but man, it's having a hard time. I've reset all the settings and put up a backdrop and got lights all over the place trying to get this to look halfway decent, but it is what it is. You can only make this look so good, right? So last year I did this video, which is Hiking the Conversation, where I talk about some of the things I want to do for the year coming up. And that's where I kind of hinted about going on a grand adventure, and that was I was planning on going out to the Grand Canyon. And one of the other things I talked about in that video, which some people seem to have some interest in, was getting back into podcasting. So I wasn't sure what I was going to do as far as doing like an outdoors related podcast, which is basically what my videos are anyway, or how I want to do that. And I've been really kind of contemplating that for the better part of this whole year. But back in 2013, jump back a little bit, my buddy Rocco and I had launched a podcast called the Primitive Intelligence Podcast. And there's the page right there. We did 2 seasons of that. Just him and I, we kind of sat around, talked about whatever we happened to have on our minds for that day or what had gone on for that week. Every once in a while, we would have researched something to come in and talk about, but it was just basically the two of us sitting around just talking, just BSing. And we had a lot of fun doing it. And then we both, I've always been into the outdoors, but Rocco started getting into hiking and all that. So we just, our free time, we just wound up going hiking and camping and stuff like that, and put the show on a hiatus. I came back for a 3rd season to do a kind of tie-in between the Outcast live stream that I was doing and the podcast, and real quickly learned that trying to turn a live stream into a podcast didn't work. I only wound up doing 3 episodes of the podcast version of that, and it was so hard. The 3rd one, I wound up just re-recording an entire podcast, and that was kind of all I did with that. So with everything that's gone on for the last 2 years with COVID and the pandemic and shutdowns and shortages and all kinds of stuff, it went by so fast. So now I'm back to doing the podcast. I was thinking about either doing like an Outcast podcast or a KZO podcast. I had a lot of different ideas in my head trying to figure out how I was going to do it. And I just finally settled on going back under the Primitive Intelligence Podcast name, because I can do whatever. And like I said, my videos are basically an outdoor podcast anyway. It's just a video cast, right? You're watching what I'm doing, seeing where I'm going. So I want to do something different. And I like to allow my brain to think and think about different things. And the Primitive Intelligence Podcast allows me to do that. Season 4 that I just launched is actually themed. I'm sticking to a plan this time with the podcast. And it's going to be all about conspiracy theories. So not so much everybody's coming to get you, there's a conspiracy, but about conspiracy theories themselves. I've got a whole list of them that I want to do. I've got 3 up right now, but I got a whole list of them that I want to do. And the way I'm handling it is look at kind of the history of what the conspiracy is around, then look at what the conspiracy theory, some of the main points of those conspiracy theories, and then look at those different points from the idea of it's crazy and why they can't possibly be. Then go back and re-examine them, see if there's any merit to them, if there's something that could be even a sliver of truth to them. And then I've found, as I'm researching this, there is another common thread that goes through a lot of these, and you have to listen to the podcast to find out what that is. But yeah, not just a full-on conspiracy theory podcast to tell you that all these things are going on, but just kind of shine a light on some of these theories. And maybe for me, it helps me think differently about other things. And hopefully it does that for the listeners too. And it helps you think more. And that's actually the tagline of the new season is think more. If you like podcasts, I've got it available on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, whatever they call it now, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and Podcast Addict. So those 5 main streams are probably the 5 big ones. You can just go in, search for Primitive Intelligence Podcast, and I'll show you the link. You can listen to it, subscribe to it, download them, do whatever you want to do. I've also set up the YouTube channel, which has been there for a while, but I didn't really do much with it. So if you'd rather watch the episodes. Season 4 is being recorded with this crappy camera as I'm doing the podcast itself, so you can watch them. And there's some screen share stuff like I'm doing with this to show you what I'm talking about. And that's just at youtube.com/primitiveintelligence, or there'll be a link down the bottom to all these things too. Also, on the primitiveintelligence.com webpage, you can download or stream the audio right from the website, or there's a link in there, or there's links in there for all the different places you can find it, or the RSS feed. And if you go to that RSS feed, you're going to get this. You're going to get this whole big page of code that you don't need to know. This is not the important part of an RSS feed if you've never used one. What you want is the address up at top. That's what you take and you plug into your podcast app of choice if you'd rather do it that way, if you use something that doesn't already have the Primitive Intelligence podcast listed in it. So you can do it that way. So all different ways of listening to it. If you like the podcast and you want to show a little support, on the Primitive Intelligence podcast page up at top, you'll see Primitive Intelligence merch, or down here you'll see Get the Shirt. Either one will take you to this page, which just has a couple shirts and a sticker, and they've got the Primitive Intelligence logo with the Think More tagline on there. So you might be looking at the logo and going, what is going on with that logo? What is that supposed to be? That's not me. The original season, the first season, the logo looked like this. And this little monkey holding the bowl with the light in it, I think is a candle holder that Rocco had on one of his shelves. And it was really cool. So I took a picture of it. I did some photo manipulation to get it to look like that. And I kind of liked it, but it didn't make a really good logo. So I sat down one day and I made a stylized kind of monkey face, like straight on, like simplified, flat design kind of monkey face with no features. And that's where that came from. So that is the podcast monkey face logo, which I guess kind of looks like me. So yeah, if you like podcasts and you want to check it out, look it up in your podcast app of choice, or come over to YouTube channel, check that out. All the links for these things will be down in the description as well too. So yeah, come by, check it out. Let me know what you think. If you like to ponder conspiracy theories and there's one you'd like to see me talk about, leave me a comment in this video or one of the videos on the Primitive Intelligence channel, or contact me through the Primitive Intelligence webpage or whatever, and just let me know what you'd like to see me tackle as far as a conspiracy theory. So that'd be pretty cool. And yeah, hope to see you guys listening to the podcast, see your ideas, and let me know what you think. It looked like it was going to rain for most of the day, so it's starting to brighten up a little bit. I think I'm going to go for a walk. See you next.